Welcome and thank you for joining us in another little showcase of Alaskan producers. I have a couple of people today that are going to speak, or three people in this room that are going to be presenting on their projects and their farms and ranches. We're going to start off on an island south of Kodiak, and then we're going to head over to southeast. So you guys have got the largest southern expansion that we got going on in our conversations today. Anywho, I'm going to pass it over to Jason Pyron from Sitkinak.
My name is Jason Pyron, Sitkinak Island. We've been ranching off Sitkinak Island for the last 13 years, 12 years now. And it's a remote island located off the south end of the archipelago, Kodiak Archipelago. It's still part of the archipelago, part of the Trinity Island complex. We have a 30-year grazing lease on Sitkinak East and Sitkinak West. I don't know if this is the laser. Yeah, so Sitkinak West and Sitkinak East Island, which comprise about 85,000 acres, where we have about 650 head of cattle. And so I think it's important to understand scale. This is about 100 miles from the city of Kodiak proper, where we ranch. So it's completely isolated and remote. The logistics are completely challenging, where a charter flight to and from the island is about $1,200 to $1,300 each way. So I think that just helps people understand. I'm trying to help people understand the ecology and the diversity here to some extent. You know, it is completely treeless except for 13 trees planted by the Coast Guard as part of the land station some 50 years ago, approximately, have managed to survive. Otherwise, it's completely treeless and with some dwarf shrubs and an incredible amount of luscious grass. And our more productive range sites, I don't know if Karen's here, but she would probably correct me if I'm wrong, which would be helpful, but they're about 5,000 to 6,000 pounds per acre of forage production per year. And so that is what makes this land so valuable and what makes Alaska so unique. I grew up in the Intermountain West, where productive rangeland produces 1,200 to 1,600 pounds of forage production per year. You get 60 to 70 inches of rain and this amount of soil that is in these areas, and you get some incredible forage availability for livestock. The cattle have been a part of this landscape for over 100 or approximately 100 years now, by reports that I know of, and maybe Mo could correct me on this, somewhere in the 1930s is that within recent history when cattle were moved there. There are also reports that cattle may have been there as part of past history in regards to pre-American purchase during the Russian industry as far as whaling and fur farming. The questions I get asked about, which I'm trying to help people understand, is what can people get out of what we've learned on Sitkinak and what I know in regards to people can transfer this knowledge and help build their own operation here in Alaska. I'm super passionate about working landscapes. Working landscapes require private enterprise tied to these landscapes that are the true stewards of them through multiple generations. And we are incredibly passionate about that. And I'm a first generation rancher, honestly. I came to this state because there is this opportunity. There is incredible opportunity in the state of Alaska, but you have to be prepared to go through some incredibly unique challenges. And that's just a part of it. And we have an incredible amount of logistics. The logistics that we work through are on the beef end and they're on the cattle end. And they are incredibly challenging on both sides of this. So to get these cattle to the ranch or to our processing headquarters, we are using boats, helicopters, planes, four-wheelers, side-by-sides, horses. You name a vehicle, I've probably used it to get beef into a corral. That requires an incredible diverse set of skills and an immense amount of commitment to be committed to learning that. On the other side of it, we have an incredible amount of logistics in moving beef. So we process between 100 and 200 beef, 150 to 200 beef every year. We move somewhere in the ballpark of 50,000 pounds of beef to the state of Alaska, within the state of Alaska to local Alaskans every year. And the logistics of that are not simple from a remote island. They are not cheap, and it will bankrupt you if you're not careful. And you are going to make mistakes. I didn't get into this work because I love refrigeration. I didn't get into it because I love laying on the ground, working on four-wheelers and skid steers and excavators and replacing wiring harnesses. You do it because you're passionate about industry, you're passionate about these landscapes and these animals, but that is what you need to realize you're getting into. And you're gonna spend the majority of your hours doing. I pick up these boxes way too many times to really even care about admitting. And we have a great group of people that help us, but it's been an incredible learning curve on these logistics pieces. I'm more than happy to answer questions, but this is just to help tease some people's minds a little bit to help answer some of these questions. So people ask me all the time, like, well, what's the most challenging part of that? What is it? And the question I ask is like, well, when you look at this, what is your job title? Okay, we do all of these things. And I'm not saying that it is construction like. We're talking about construction heavy. I've built 3 beef processing plants at this point. I have rewired wiring harnesses on skid steers. These are not anything that is a light job or should be considered something you're gonna go and hire somebody. The margins are not there to hire skilled labor to do this, particularly in a remote area. I could not believe when people told me it was $350 an hour for a refrigeration technician. Guess what I did? Learned refrigeration. When somebody calls, you call on a Sunday to Kodiak and you say, hey, I got a down piece of equipment. Can you come work on it? And they're like, yeah, no. Why? Well, we don't know you. We really don't want to work on Sunday. Whatever excuse in the book they can come up with, you're the person to do it. So in some of those pictures, you might have noticed like some of the tack on the horses. The majority of that tack is handmade. A lot of it is repurposed material off the beach that we braid by hand. Headstalls, halters, necklines, etc. We break every horse. We emasculate every stud. You've got probably a herd of 45 horses right now. Those horses are put to work right there on that ranch. We break wire winders and welding spools. That's it. Every bit of web design, social media, me, my wife, my sister, etc. All these things are components that are absolutely critical to make your note at the end of the year. And the other question they ask us to tee up is what makes this work, And at the end of the day, it is an incredible amount of abundant grass. There is nothing like it in the world. This extremely nutritious grass makes for incredible beef carcasses. I have had so many professional butchers, as I've learned to butcher myself, come through our facility and look at the quality of carcasses and help educate me on the quality of carcasses. And that Alaska has this unique opportunity. And this is what makes it. Incredible carcasses with extremely quality people puts great meat in a box, and people know good food. Alaskans know good meat, and they'll stand behind it. If you produce a quality product for a reasonable price, they'll support you and you will be profitable. Are you going to get rich? Are you going to have bad days? You're not going to get rich and you're going to have a lot of bad days. But you are going to love it and be super passionate about it if that's what's in your heart, and you'll keep after it. With that, I think honestly we'll turn it over and then have questions at the end, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know how you want to format that.